Good afternoon to you, 406. It's Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show, live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio, also live on YouTube and Facebook. I'm excited to have another crucial conversation that Erie needs, and we're talking to one of the men and women that are involved with the Renaissance of Erie, and that's Drew Whiting. He is the CEO of the Erie Downtown Development Corporation. Drew, welcome back. Good to see you.
Yeah. It's great to be here. It's been a little while.
I mean, it's Renaissance. I mean, we're literally witnessing a new day in Erie, Pennsylvania.
If you're a builder, this is a great place to be. It doesn't matter what you're building, a new business, actual bricks and mortar. If you're building on an idea to create a new company, it's a really fun place to set up shop and find your people and make it go. I mean, we're watching it all over the place, and it's I can't imagine being in a more energetic, inspiring environment than we are in right now, and with what we have to look forward to. It's fun to wake up every day and come down here and get to work.
I'm going to throw a curveball at you. I'm going to not start at the EDDC.
Right.
I'm going to start where you hang out and maybe work on your drives, which is 5-iron golf and that Four Corners. I'm especially interested in what's going on at the Four Corners at 10th and State. What do you know? First off, is the proof of concept there that you're experiencing with 5-iron?
Yeah, it is. We are 2 years old, 2 years from our open in a few weeks here. And the last year plus has been, where we expected things to be. It took us a little while to get there. It doesn't help when you're opening in the summertime,
right?
An indoor golf place. But we opened our Syracuse location about coming up on 3 months ago now.
You're involved with that one too?
Yeah. So Chase Rogan and I are a franchisee through the Swing Project entity that owns a big chunk of Western New York, basically over to Syracuse, the county where State College resides, and Erie. And we're looking at some opportunities to even expand that territory and grow the business over the next few years with the employees and the jobs that will be created to manage all of that remaining right here on State Street in Erie.
Talk about what the drivers are, and to pardon the pun. I mean, again, when I've gone, I've never swung a club at that place, but I've eaten lots of the food here.
Yeah.
So is it multiple lanes for success?
Yeah. So we are unique in the 5-iron location universe. When they started, they had Manhattan and Boston and DC and Philly and Chicago, all these big cities up and down the Eastern Coast and Midwest, and their ratio of golf revenue to food and beverage and events revenue is about 50-50 across those locations. In Erie, we are doing a significantly higher proportion of events and food and beverage than golf. I think that's because we have a location that bodes well for an event space, for birthday parties, for corporate events, full buyouts for larger evenings, that for political events or corporate, whatever. And that event space has been really good for the community, and it's been great for our business. So Syracuse is a city that's very similar to Erie. We kind of picked up and replicated that model there. And I think 5-iron as an organization is starting to see what we've done with our multi-sport simulator, putting in duck pin lanes, utilizing open floor space for flex event type of space. And our basement has a nice meeting room and work room for companies that want to do their strategic planning or have off-site meetings. They can do that, then come up and have happy hour together.
Right.
Having those unique spaces put together is helping us with a little bit of a different business model than exists in some of those bigger cities. The other thing that's different about Erie is we're more sharply seasonal. If you're in Manhattan or Chicago and you want to go play golf, it's an hour to get to the course. It's going to cost you $150 to $200 in greens fees. And even if it's a nice 75-degree summer day, you still may go play inside.
Wow.
If you're in Erie, it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes to one of the nicest golf courses anywhere, and it costs you $50-$60 to play.
Yeah.
So it's we have to be more adaptable to a non-golf audience. we're doing things like karaoke and yoga in our event spaces on a regular weekly basis. We're going to start utilizing our bays for movie nights for kids and families if that's what they want to do, and theme nights this summer. And it comes down to being creative and utilizing the assets that you have and reading the market for where the demand is. What we've learned here in Erie has been not just good for our business here in Erie, but it informs what we do in other locations. It's a data set that Five Iron Corporate can use up in their planning for future locations. But more than anything, Five Iron is a community oriented business. We're accessible to everyone. When you walk in there at any time of day, you see all kinds of people. It's not the golf guys in particular. Those guys are there sometimes, but that's generally not our audience and our customer on average. And that is a really cool thing to me. Yeah. When you get into Syracuse and we open up in downtown and we start to meet their version of their downtown partnership in downtown Syracuse and talk to them about what's worked here and how we can engage with their community there, with affinity groups and with corporate entities and chamber, etc. Like, wow, like nobody's coming here. Nobody's done this before. This is great. And what that leads to is a larger conversation about how are you organizing your downtown and what are you doing to get stakeholders aligned and how do you think about bike infrastructure, and it opens up this larger conversation in places like Syracuse and Buffalo and Cleveland and Pittsburgh. And we're bringing ideas back from them too. They're meeting with our leaders and we're able to serve. I kind of see it as this, Rust Belt support group of people in economic development and small business support.
Yeah, it's a bit different than economic development in Charlotte or Nashville, isn't it?
It sure is, and I think it's not something I saw coming. But you could probably tell by how animated I am.
Yeah.
Like, it really motivates me, and it's an exciting byproduct of that kind of work, that it dovetails into the things we're doing every day on the street here for the Eddc as well.
Right.
It's funny. Our team, we communicate in different ways. Like Hoover and I are texting at like 2 a.m. all the time. Crazy ideas.
Go to sleep.
He was in South Carolina for a wedding over the last few days over the weekend.
Yeah.
And he's doing what I do every time I travel. Is he's wandering around to downtown and taking pictures of events and the way they've decorated their street and the way their ornamentation is in their parks. And we're doing the same thing. I'm doing the same thing with Corey, but just in a little bit different direction about construction and maintenance. And but those ideas are flowing, and Five Iron is just a natural parallel for us.
And your setup, like at EDDC, not to be jumping back and forth,
no,
but
it's fine.
Your setup,
I jump back and forth all the time. It's fine.
But your setup with you have your Erie Equity Fund. Your board has put a ton of confidence in your leadership and your team.
Yeah, and it's something you think about when you're going to sleep, and it's the first thing on your mind when you wake up. There's a huge responsibility there, and I think when we're building a team, when I'm building a team, whether it was as a lawyer building a law firm or it's at Five Iron and we're building out a management team in a different location, what you want to see is somebody that's really excited about the job and that this is something that feels more like a calling or a career than it is a clock punching exercise. Mm-hmm. And the people that we have at the EDDC on my team are all just people that show up and care.
Wow.
And so it's hard not to be motivated yourself as a leader when those are the people that you've surrounded yourself with, or in my case, were there when I got here for the most part. And beyond the EDDC, if you think about the other leaders in this community that are adjacent to, tangential, but also crucial to our progress in City Hall, at the Downtown Partnership, at the Chamber. Now we have new leadership there over at the Hammond Health Foundation and Build CDC and ECAT and the Erie Arts and Culture. All these organizations that we're building with. A lot of us were in Harrisburg this Monday to lobby for the city of Erie together. And you feel that cohesive energy and alignment that I think is super rare in a place like this. And I think for Erie, people that have watched Erie from afar, from Harrisburg for a long time in particular, to see that kind of excitement and momentum and alignment is something that hasn't happened in most of their lifetimes. So to be part of that in any way is just an unbelievable privilege. So wake up every morning and try to make the best of it and make sure that if there's an opportunity, you're taking advantage. And it's a lot of responsibility. Sure. It's a big job, but what else would you how could you want to do anything else is kind of the way I look. A lot of people look at me like I'm crazy, but that is
how you raised your hand and you're enveloping and totally embracing it. Let me ask you about the 3 other corners on 10th there.
Yeah.
What do you know of what's going on at the old Avalon?
So they've gotten about, I think, 30% of that building filled.
Okay.
We're about a month into leasing season here. And
so they just kind of started.
I mean, the building really opened in November, late October. I think it was sometime in November when they had their occupancy certificate, which almost no leases get signed between November and March.
Makes sense.
March, April, you start to see a pickup in applications, and then new leases really kick in over the summer. So they're starting to fill up. There's more exterior work coming now that the weather has turned, and they're in the process of working on leasing up that commercial space on the ground floor.
Okay. What's the target audience for those apartments?
So the target audience is everybody from students to young professionals, maybe in entry-level jobs. The one bedroom, or the studio efficiency apartments there, all in, are about $1,000 a month. And there's, you've got a downstairs lounge with mail and security and everything's management on site. So it's one of the only buildings like that in our downtown where it's not a walk up,
Right.
So, we'll see how that building leases up over the summer and if adjustments need to be made and extra work needs to be done. But, we're playing a role in there as holding a master lease where we're responsible for the economics of a bunch of units in the building. It's being managed by Glowacki and the developers out of New York City. We're actively working with them. One of the things we're doing, which is really exciting, is there's going to be a really nice mural put on the side of that building that faces State Street that runs the entire height of the face of the building along State Street, which I just saw a rendering of the first time today. It's going to be really cool. It's a really nice collaboration between us and Erie Arts and Culture and a few local artists, and the America 250 celebration is really the predicate for all of that. So we are looking to make sure that we're utilizing the assets that we have in the street that are being improved while we're incorporating the arts into everything that we do.
Neat.
Yeah, it's the Renaissance Center is the other one on the corner.
Yeah.
We're looking at a $60+ million renovation that started about 4 months ago inside. You can't really see much going on right now, but all the demos happening in there. That place needs new mechanicals, windows, a couple new elevators. Most of the work you see is going to be happening on the inside and not visible to passersby, but that project is probably a couple years out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a pretty big undertaking.
And the idea is it's the Trust Hotel.
The Trust Hotel, yeah. But if you've had Christian here, you see plenty. He's probably told you a lot about what that's going to feel like. But it's going to be a really cool, like, mid-century modern feel, but really nice modern amenities for a boutique hotel, a gym, a nice restaurant, a cocktail lounge, business center, those types of things. So in a town where, tourism continues to drive hotel prices up in the summertime to big city rates, we've got capacity being added to the fold, so that should help. And it'll be the only real hotel that's in our downtown too that has that kind of capacity and feel. So looking forward to that being open. Jekyll and Hyde's building there on the other corner has kind of been, it's a little bit up in the air.
Okay.
Was there
a buyer? Or?
There was a buyer on a conditional contract.
Okay.
I don't know that it went the way that everybody thought it was going to go. And when those kinds of things happen in the city, and it's not the only building that's got questionable way forward, I often get that call, or somebody will direct the call to me, and we're trying to find a solution. If that means recruiting a developer in to deal with that building with our help, that's a lot of the direction that the EDDC is headed in right now. We've been in this mode and seen as this prime mover, developer, building, managing, funding everything ourselves. Going forward, we're taking a step in the direction of being a facilitator and making sure that the effort that we've really primed the pump for can scale. And so we're building out tools, we're building out a network and a process for making sure that those who want to participate in what we've got going on here in Erie have the ability to do it, the confidence that they have a partner on the ground that can see it through.
That is amazing. We're going to talk more about that in a bit. First, we'll take our break. It is Drew Whiting on the radio here from the EDDC. Stay with us. Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. Drew Whiting is our guest from the Erie Downtown Development Corporation. Drew, I just think that what we went on the break with is so critical here, of the idea that of a value add from the EDDC. You don't necessarily have to invest in every single project downtown, but you could lend so much value through, your paradigm of development.
I think there's a couple skills that we have developed that are not unique to us, but which we're really well suited to continue to push that skill set out for the benefit of others in the community. If you look at our flagship Commons project, we'll have 9 or 10 sources of capital into that project, coming from government incentives to tax credits, etc.
Chris is in that?
Yes, we're still, in front of the state for approvals on those things, but likely. And that takes a lot of local knowledge and on the ground experience to be able to do that. On top of that, when you're managing these construction projects, Erie is an old city with legacy infrastructure. You kind of need to know where things are buried around here.
Where the bones are buried.
Because you can, we're running into clay pipes and old goosenecks and all. So what I look at Erie, like I look at a blue blood or Ivy League university, right? You've got this phenomenal alumni network out in the world doing great things, and they should all be contributing back because Erie gave them something that, they're taking with them. And when people come back for Thanksgiving or the 4th of July or for a funeral or whatever, we get a lot of people telling us like, I haven't been back here in 10 years. This is amazing. Like, are there any opportunities I could participate in? And for a long time, that question would hit me. I'd be like, I need to be ready with these opportunities.
Yeah.
And so what we're doing is we're creating a developer menu, essentially. Developers can come in. We've already done all of like the pre-feasibility analysis on a lot of the projects that are both on the market and we think will be on the market soon or off market. We know a seller might be willing, where we can say, yeah, here's 12 opportunities in order of importance and dollar amount. And I think you should take a look at these. And if you're interested, let us know. And what a lot of them would say, if they're seasoned in this industry, they'd be like, look, that one looks good, but we probably are 20% off when it comes to the cost of construction and the valuations. And I know there's probably some incentives there. And I know there's probably contractors that'd be good at this and consultant. I don't want to, I live in Seattle and I got this job where I'm traveling. I don't want to try to figure it out. But if I can say, look, if you've got the capital, we can partner with you and we could do this for you and make this so turnkey that you don't have to think about it. And you can leave your legacy on State Street in Erie or on wherever else because we can run with this for you as your partner, as a co-developer, however you, as a manager after the fact, whatever you need. And that's going to open up the door for a lot of Erie's alumni network, let's call it, to participate on our street in a way that allows them to, leave their mark in their hometown, even if they're not able to come here and do it themselves.
Would you have to set up, again, not to get in the weeds, but would you have to set up a separate fund, or is the Erie Equity Fund sitting there waiting for
No,
them?
it's not. And we're going through a process right now of raising additional capital into a fund that can be used in a number of different ways for these deals.
Because I have these buddies, again, my age, that they see, but they're not going to want to do all the negotiations to acquire that building. You know what I mean?
I don't want to deal with the owner.
Right.
I don't know if this elevator is good or not, and I don't know what I'm looking at. And what's the CRIZ? I don't know. What? It's a is it on the historic register? Like what?
Yeah.
What do I got to do to apply for that? I don't want to even think about it.
But what if I just give you a couple million? What can you do with that?
It's too much brain damage. I'm just gonna put the money in the market. And what I think when I hear somebody say that is, that's an opportunity for us to step up and say, look, you could, but and you could die the richest guy in the cemetery, or you can have an impact on your community and still make returns over time, or you could put it in your kid's name and let it ride. And I think that is the sleeping giant that we need to awake, both in town and out of town, and the people who are paying attention. If you've got the capital and you just don't want to deal with it, or otherwise just don't know what you would do, come to us and we'll help you find that deal and we'll help you make stuff happen. We have opportunities on the Bayfront right now, which are legacy projects for anybody that gets involved.
Oh my gosh.
We have opportunities throughout State Street, Parade Street, throughout the neighborhoods. And if there's ever a time to build, you want to do it now, and you want to do it in Erie.
This is the time to do it here. Drew Whiting is our guest. Stay with us. More ahead here on Talk Erie and the Joel Natale Show. We're talking downtown renaissance of Erie, Pennsylvania, with Drew Whiting here on the Joel and Natalie Show, live from our Kingdom Financial Group studio here at 5th and State. Again, we're in the middle of it all. Can't tell you, Drew, how cool it is just to have like these windows to see all of the character of State Street.
Oh yeah, it's a rich tapestry down here.
It's a rich tapestry.
It's my favorite. Figure out where that line comes from. Better Call Saul. You'll laugh even harder. When the streetscaping's done, the windows will actually be clean too, Joel.
Yes.
You don't want to do that while the dust is being kicked
Understood.
up in the air. But the city's been really coordinating a solid effort. Communication has been great. We're gonna have trees throughout our downtown, and I just had dinner last night with Robert Heineman, who Cal Pfeiffer brought to town, who's speaking at the Jefferson tonight, who designed, built, and lives in the Woodlands in Texas, which is now 120,000 person community with businesses that have been recruited there that created 70,000 jobs or so. And while we were sitting there last night, his wife has a connection to Erie. Her sister lives here, and we did a little drive around. And at his wife's request last night, she's like, "Could you show us around? I'd love to get like more of an update from you and understand what's happening here beyond what I just read online." So we were driving around, and to hear somebody that's been in this like urban design and development world in a different part of the country for sure, and definitely under different circumstances, they built an entire city out of like natural forest land.
Wow.
And he was laughing. He's like, "Yeah, you're not doing that. You're attacking an urban grid that's got legacy infrastructure that's been accumulating for two centuries. So what we do has to be adapted to this environment if I'm going to give you advice, but here are some things that we would think about." And a lot of what he was bringing up, rings really true. You have to, on a neighborhood by neighborhood basis, you have to have the things that meet people's needs, and that is you have to have a place for nourishing food. You've got to have the place to drop off the mail, and that's less important these days, but people still need to do it.
Yeah.
The schools ideally are walkable. In a lot of American communities, you got to drive everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And to be truly built to human scale, you have to meet humans' needs on a neighborhood by neighborhood basis. So downtown is a neighborhood. There's not a lot of people with kids like a lot of downtowns, so it's those are different needs. We do have a lot of people with disabilities. We have a lot of people on social assistance. We have a lot of young professionals. It's an interesting mix. And then you've got, of course, the people who are working here during the day and the visitors and tourists. So, the task for us in downtown, and as we look at the Parade Street corridor and the West Bayfront, I think you start to adapt your look towards those needs, and just to hear it from somebody else who's in that game is a really, who's been doing this for 60 years. And there's a lot of affirmation about some of the things that we're doing here are really impressive to someone like that. And there's also work that we need to do too. So in the last 12 to 16 hours with that crew has been good. Harrisburg, the 24 hours before that, like a little bit of a whirlwind, but very, very informative and energizing at the same time.
I want to start hitting this block by block, and I want to go to the flagship city Commons again. Sure. We've started seeing steel now rising from the ground. What did you find though as you dug? I mean, you had how many footers are in there? It's crazy.
There's 68 piers that go down 20 to 25 feet.
Why did you have to do that?
Because Erie's a big pile of sand. And if you're building anything of substance here, you've got to anchor to the bedrock. And we didn't really find anything. I think that's the developer's worst nightmare, is you're going to discover some great old graveyard or some rare species of bird as nesting.
I thought you'd find little liver pills or something like that. Yeah.
The only thing we've really had to deal with is this is a structure with a lot of glass. So we have, because of that and our proximity to the lake, we've designed in bird safe glass to that structure. We had a lot of people asking us if we had done that, and we were able to show that we were prepared and checking those boxes. But yeah, I think this building's going to be really cool. It's going to tie together the existing historic buildings it pays homage to both the bus station that was there and the opera house that existed before the bus station in the early part of the 20th century. And the building itself was designed with to be a structure that invites people in, not a reflective flat front locked door facade, but this is open to the public. This is a third space that you don't have to pay to enter. That is arts forward, and that will be leaning into our community the way that we do with everything else we're doing here. And it's been probably about 6 months since we started talking about what's available from a leased space standpoint. We have a lot of good interest, strong interest from parties that want every square foot of the building to a single retail space, restaurant space. And so we're wading through that, and there's a weighing of, financials and public interest and community good and a lot of the decision making that's going on right now. And there are other projects that we want to participate in or drive going forward after this one is underway and leased up. So all of those factors are playing into this. We know that when it opens, there's going to be 100 new jobs created in that footprint.
Fantastic.
And that it will clearing up that construction, and more importantly, really making Fifth Street what it should be, which is a center for arts, culture, and entertainment in our downtown district, as a nice complement to Perry Square. That is, we're burying the power lines. We're going to make this a place that is pedestrian first, that is a place where it's fun to hang out, and it's not, you don't have to worry about getting hit by a car or you'll feel like you're in a place where you could spend a lot of time and enjoy yourself, a beautiful place. So with that being done around the same time that the Bayfront reopens at State Street and the streets are lined and the signals are done and the streetscape is done, next summer is kind of that target time frame where all of this will be going live, and we're just pushing as hard as we can to make sure we're prepared for that and that we launch in full at that time.
Let's talk about Country Fair. They just celebrated their 1 year. They took a significant risk to come down. It's totally different to their business model, but they seem to be super optimistic, and I think it's working. A lot of food made to order, though. It sounds like that's one of their things.
Yeah, a lot of food made to order. Their grocery section is doing really well. That was really the risky piece, which it doesn't exist in a lot of their other stores, so it was an unknown. How is this going to perform? He
was telling me that you can get meat there, like at a parity of Walmart or something like that.
You can. The prices are akin to the big box stores, so you don't feel like you're getting ripped off at the convenience store because it's a last minute thing, which is important. We're trying to solve a food desert down here. We're not trying to create another convenience store that's in that vein. And we're so lucky to have Country Fair as a local partner in this with us. Paul and Jamie and Karen and many of the others on that team have
been the store guy.
Ben, the store manager, his mother-in-law Carol, who was running it before that. They're just a phenomenal group of people that really care about this community. And when it came to the decision to put that store in there, a lot of people were involved in that decision. Country Fair is owned by United Refining out of Warren, PA, and they have a board that they have to report to, and that board had to say yes. Country Fair's board had to say yes. My board had to say yes. And then we had to get the project done and do it the right way so that it's successful. And they've been open 1 year. The first year of any business, you work out the kinks, you figure things out, and you try to get to that break-even point in that first 3 years. And what we've given ourselves is a 3-year runway to get there. We expect that we'll have a full year after the construction is complete to really see what the potential of this thing is. And I anticipate them being a long-term partner in our downtown. I also think that what we're showing works, which is putting grocery in a neighborhood where it really wasn't feasible prior, and doing it the right way by listening to the people who live in your area, work in your area, surveying them, being very intentional with every inch of shelf space means you'll have success. Getting to that $50,000 a week in sales for this store, which is more than what the monthly sales were prior, shows that effort.
So that's where we're at now. Wow.
And I think other neighborhoods where a country fair or other convenience stores exist, whether it's on East Ave or at some of these other underserved food desert neighborhoods. I think we should be able to use this as evidence of a model that works, that can be replicated with maybe some state assistance going forward, because if we can make it work here, we can make it work in other places too.
This is sound like I'm gushing, but I really like how you think of basically EDC is also an incubator, is also a idea generator.
I think, it's hard not to realize that sitting in this seat when Congress is coming to Erie to listen to me about what's worked and what hasn't in Erie with regard to major legislation nationally. When I was in Harrisburg this past week, I got introduced to somebody as leading the investment effort in the most successful opportunity zone experiment in the United States. What that kind of conversation leads to is a lot of other people reaching out to me and saying, do you have advice for our town? 2 weeks ago, I was in Lafayette, Louisiana at the Big Towns Conference. It was a really interesting experience. A lot of people that are in the same type of job that I'm in, that Tina Mangine is in, a lot of mayors of these small town or these big towns or small cities. And for one, it's kind of like a support group, because there's not a lot of people in this type of profession that understand what the day-to-day is and what the struggles can be and what the wild swings and morale can look like. But it's also, all of us are our own petri dish.
Yeah.
And we're all trying out different things. We're learning from each other. And I know that what works in, Beaverton, Oregon, where the mayor was there, it probably isn't going to work here. Or Dubuque, Iowa may not work in Jacksonville or Lafayette. But in each of those places, you can find things that will apply here. And so when I was saying, like, Hoover and I are sending each other pictures and ideas constantly, it's because our brains are wired to think that way now. That's what we live these days. And there's other people in the world doing the same thing, and we're all learning from each other. So yes, Erie can serve as an
What's a difference maker? What's a difference maker that you feel like Erie just has that little bit of edge, and maybe it's just in the Rust Belt, or maybe or the Great Lakes or something?
The biggest thing I see is our natural resource in the lake.
Yeah.
Concentration of higher ed graduates.
Yeah, it's like if you put them together, we have an R1 type of university, all of them.
We have that. We have committed stakeholders, and we've got a lot of young leadership that is boomeranged back here, that has lived here, that is really
married to somebody here.
Married, has a mother-in-law here,
Right.
And it is such a fun thing to be working with that group of people. And I have seen a lot of that change at the Big Towns Conference. The several mayors that spoke around when I was speaking at this conference, they're like women in their 40s who are just badass women that are leaders and have been recognized as such. And that's why they're leading the group project. And, we're lucky to have people like that in spades here.
Yeah.
And none of us take a zero-sum attitude towards any of this. And we're all calling each other for help and ideas. And I think that is such a cool thing that we have going for us here. And a lot of places are envious of that elsewhere. We had people here from Buffalo last week that are working on an urban core project there. City like Buffalo, unlike Erie, it's a very decentralized, suburban-centric city. For one, it's a much different place from an environment standpoint and a networking standpoint. But also, it's a massive problem. Like, their infrastructure that's dilapidated from prior concentration of industry is going to take 100 years to overhaul. We have a very addressable situation here. Like, the biggest problem we have is like one arguably Superfund site, the Erie Coke site down here. But we have a lot of assets that can be turned quickly with the right vision and the right investment. And so for us to be sitting in this position with a very addressable situation that can be turned relatively quickly with the right ingredients, man, it's hard not to get excited. It's hard not to be optimistic about that, especially when everybody around you is aligned with how we need to do this.
Let me throw just throw some blue sky spitballs at you here. So we've got $110 million going in on the Bayfront connector here. State Street's going to be done. You're going to be done here with phase 1 in EDC. I mean, if I'm an investor and I'm looking at the old McAllisters and everything along that Bayfront, to me, that's like the Gold Coast, is it not?
Yeah, I don't know if you've been, in my brain lately, but
I mean, to me, nobody else has that.
And that spot to me, adjacent to the Bicentennial Tower, that it was a dirt patch for a number of years while all this is going on, was a head scratcher. And there's a big opportunity there with the Holland Street Pier, which the Scots on the western side of that, the EMTA and the Port Authority have domain over the other piece of that. We're going to have a flyover that comes from the bluff over the Bayfront right to the steps of the library. And people are going to that's going to activate that Lower East Side. There are stakeholders in this community looking at housing development on a grand scale in the Lower East Side of Erie, which would completely transform that neighborhood and would have a giant impact on not just the Lower East Side, but downtown and the Bayfront, and would that type of impact spreads throughout the neighborhood that's adjacent, and it would help the East Side really get the boost that it needs to get moving too. And I think all of that together has to be looked at holistically, and the people who are interested in doing those projects, who have ownership and domain over that land, now's the time to move. It's not 10 years from now. You didn't miss the boat. We need to strike now. We have dollars available. We have the people, the momentum. And what I'm trying to impress on those that can pull the trigger and make these things move is that when somebody shows up willing to do that and willing to move, let's work together. There's no reason we can't partner on these things. And that pier is a great example.
Sure.
That's one spot in particular that I think is right for right now, in time for this Bayfront connector project to be wrapped up, to have our Bayfront domain branded, named, built up, and ready for the next phase of what comes in Erie, so that we can keep building down there too.
Let me, again, because you guys are the idea generators, I want to ask about our brand. Again, I think you contemplate a lot about this. The latest Jefferson Civic Leadership Academy said that we have a branding problem. We have a messaging problem for Erie. But, there's several people that have gone after this messaging thing. Again, you guys have some experience.
Yeah. So I'm an outsider that came here,
Yeah.
and I think the best evangelists are converts. And I was somebody who moved here with very low expectations, and now listen to what comes out of my mouth when I talk about Erie.
You're gushing.
Look, Erie is a different place depending on where you come from. The resources available, this place you are at in life, both from a health, economic standpoint, job prospect standpoint, and it needs to be a better place for everybody. But I think what Erie has going for it is that we're a place that is also welcoming to people that put themselves out there and show that they're ready to play a role. And that's in the job market, that's in service, that's in government. And our brand, I think, the way that I would encapsulate Erie best is it's a great place to be if you want to build, whether you're building your own brand or your own business, whether that's in real estate, or if you want to build a life here, build a family here. It's got some of the most affordable housing in the country. It has access to free beaches, and all kinds of resources and amenities at a cost far lower than almost anywhere else you could go that has this type of infrastructure and amenities available. And for somebody with kids, it's hard to beat. Where we need more builders, we need more people working with Superintendent Gibbs to help with our school system. We need more people in the trades. There's going to be cranes in the air in this city for the next 30 years. And if you're trying to figure out what you're going to do after AI takes your consultant job, I think there's a lot of opportunity in the construction field. This is a place where there's opportunity if you really show up, put yourself out there and look for it. I'm not sure that's like a normal brand for a city.
Right.
The Good Life Great Lake moniker that
Sure.
came with the rebrand at Visit Erie last year. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's more to it. I think there's more diversity to what that brand could be. But when I talk about this place with my friends that live all over the country or back in Chicago, they're just like, yeah, I wish I could do that, but like the cost of living here is so high, I could never, spare cash to go start a business or buy a building or do some. Like I'm living paycheck to paycheck, and these are people making combined $500,000 a year. It's crazy. Yeah. So,
Come to Erie.
Erie's a place where you can build if that's what you want to do. And I think I
love that.
I learned that early at Radius, and there's a lot of creative people that take that mentality. There are a lot of people in traditional industry. A lot of people working as actuaries at Erie Insurance that decide they want to get in the property game, and now they own 200 apartments all over the city.
Goodness.
So there's opportunities here, and we're an organization that looks at anybody that is seeking that opportunity and wants to get involved as a potential partner.
Drew Whiting, the CEO of the Erie Downtown Development Corporation. Any announcements before you come back in the summer?
Yeah, I think I want to make sure I bring up that Static Vintage is going to be opening here on the corner in the old Erie Apparel store on Friday evening. They're going to do a launch. I think a press release goes out tomorrow for that. Okay. Really cool store with a great vibe. The Twisted Elk Outpost over by Country Fair's entrance on North Park Row. We're, one email from the Liquor Authority from being able to open and launch over there as well for the summer. And then coming up here soon, you'll have to have Hoover and Hunter and Matt Orton come in. We're working on a summer concert series. There'll be a little bit of a difference in the music schedule this summer from the normal Thursday nights, but we've got alley parties. Daria's going to kill me, but some version of a block party. And I think we have a lot of fun new things coming this summer that should be exciting and draw people in, even maybe some of those who haven't been down here in quite a while.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Can't wait. Thank you, Drew. Appreciate it. More ahead here. It is 4:57 Talk Erie.